Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean. This is In The Mix, so happy Thursday, wherever in the world you happen to be watching from. We are starting to get our build up towards the weekend, and for us, our build up towards the end of the season. We've got the final 4 games of the year to try and secure a Premier Division title. We're going to bring you the first of those 4 today, the first 2, and then tomorrow we're going to close out with the last 2 games of the season. It is very, very tight at the top. Let's jump back in and see how we've gone. So, as you guys can see, sitting up on top of the table at the moment, FC Isle of Man, 34 games played, 26 wins, 4 draws, 4 defeats, plus 57 goal difference and 82 points. But hot on our heels and so far relentless in the title run home. 1 point behind us, Manchester City. They have lost 5 times, but only drawn 3, which is why they sit a point behind. We do have a superior goal difference on them, though, by 7. But in reality, the way that they're going, and I think the run home that they've got, we would be in a difficult scenario if we were to drop any points remaining in this season. Of course, if you haven't watched the previous episodes this week, we have been knocked out of the other cup competitions, the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and Champions League. We did win the Community Shield earlier on in the season. We are hopefully going to win the Premier Division for the 3rd consecutive season, but the board is not particularly happy with this. They're currently concerned that we look unlikely to win silverware as expected. I don't know why the Community Shield doesn't count as silverware, apparently. I don't know why they'd be concerned now because we're on track to win the Premier Division if things stay as they are. Or maybe they've got no faith in us getting results in the last 4 games of the season and staying above Manchester City. I'm not entirely sure why they're starting to get concerned about it. We're down to a B-. It's been a while since I was down below like an A. But, that's fine. We're not going to worry too much about it. We'll deal with that if and when it comes. And it might be a horrific end to the series if I end up getting sacked. Looking at our final 4 games, we have Leicester, who we're going to play today, and West Ham, both of which at home. Super important that we get 6 points in today's episode, given they're both home fixtures. And then our last 2 games of the season, the games you'll see tomorrow, are Chelsea and Bournemouth to try and secure our 3rd consecutive Premier Division title. Heading down to Manchester City's games, they're kind of the reverse fixtures, almost like their tricky ones are these next 2 games. They've got Liverpool at home, currently in 9th position. They've got Tottenham in 5th at home as well. And then they finish off the season with West Ham, which I think is a winnable game. We play them today. We'll get to find out more. And Swansea, who are in 19th, away from home. So it would be very shocking if they don't pick up 6 points in the last 2 games of the season. So it is very, very important that in today's episode we win these critical fixtures. As far as the squad's concerned, no massive dramas that we have to worry about. We will be without Esteban for this first game. Jamie Warburton will likely come back into the lineup to cover in central defence. Lucas Gabriel's also got a bit of a knock. I'm not going to rush him back for this match against Leicester. I'd rather he was available for all of the 3 remaining games rather than, try to rush him back now. He gets injured again and we lose him for a little bit. So we're erring on the side of caution, but he will jump on the bench just in case something goes wrong. And this is the lineup that we're going to go with to try and get the 3 points today. It is, of course, Mancini in goal. Warburton will take the captain's arm in and play as the left-sided centre-back for Esteban. Gasby plays alongside him as the stopper. Carlos Andre at left wing-back. Furkan Yilmaz filling in for Lucas Gabriel at right wing-back. Henri at the base midfield alongside Taylor, who's actually taken over as our highest average rated player for the season. 7.55 across 28 appearances in the Premier Division. Very impressive stuff from the man we picked up from Cologne during the off-season. Castro will play on the right-hand side. He's now out and out leading assist maker. So far this season, he has 15 assists in all competitions. Very impressive stuff from him. Over on the left will be Paul Harold. Martinez plays as a deep lying forward up front with Olsen just alongside him. Currently the leading scorer in the Premier Division, 28 goals in 43 appearances in all competitions. Very impressive stuff for the 20-year-old English wonder kid. Leicester, credit to them, they're not playing a 4-2-3-1 like every other club in the Premier Division. They're playing a 4-3-3. They have got some good players as well that we have to keep an eye on. They've got Emano Ononi, who is a full England international, was previously at Chelsea. He went up for sale, I think, 3 seasons ago, it turns out. They picked him up for relatively cheap, $39.5 million for a current England international. Very impressive. He is, by trade, a central defender, but they're using him as a right back today. So they may be struggling with a couple of injuries here and there and trying to fill some gaps, which we could potentially use and leverage on our way to a good result. Over on the left wing, they've got Leonard Hoxha, another of the English wonder kids currently coming through. You can see 3-star current ability, 5-star potential, still only 19, so he has got some time on his side. He looks to be a very decent prospect. Technical stuff needs a little bit of work. Mentals aren't terrible. 15 off the ball is good for a 19-year-old player, but physically, 18 acceleration, 18 agility, 18 pace. He will give us some trouble on that wing if we allow him the space. But I'm confident Furkan Yilmaz will be up to it today. They've also got a guy that scores against us almost every time we played, Jamie Saracida, Chilean forward. He's got a very good scoring history against us. It would not surprise me if we see him Get a couple of chances in this one, particularly like balls over the top, 1v1s. But I'm confident we can beat this Leicester side. I'm not super worried. I think this is a straightforward game. As long as we perform to the best of our abilities, as long as, we're reloading the game, we're going back, we're recording a new episode on a new day, as long as our form hasn't gone out the window with that reload curse, then yeah, I think we should be okay. But we are also going to keep an eye on the other results as well. Hopefully Liverpool can do us a small favour and take at least 1 point away from their game against City. We've immediately got a substitution to make here, and it's an injury error, or an injury to Furkan Yilmaz. We're going to bring on Lucas Gabriel. He's not 100% fit, so everything I said about not rushing him back now goes out the window. Carlos Andre's also got a bit of a knock, which is just horrific timing in terms of when these players are going to get injured. We'll keep an eye on that one. Connor Medjugorje is thankfully on the bench if we need to make that change. So they'll say, I've got faith in you. And then we might also use just to demand more shout a little bit earlier in the game than normal, just to give everyone some focus after the change. Gabriel with a throw-in, first involvement for him. Cut back to Henry, deep ball towards Martinez, and he powers the header home. He is phenomenal out of the air, the big Mexican. We'll check this one out in 3 dimensions. It is his 21st goal of the season, and an absolute thumping header towards the near post. Lovely worked little throw in here. Gives Henry the chance to get his head up. Good cross, good pace on it. Finds Martinez. There's no defenders within a yard of him, and he just powers that one home to give us the 1 goal advantage and ease a little bit of the nerves. There is a highlight here immediately for Leicester though. Saracita, wide right area. Warburton does well to stay with him. Gives it across to Taylor, who plays Carlos Andre. Back to Mancini. Switch out now to the left-hand side for Harold, who does have a pocket of space in front of him. Martinez, ball across to Taylor. Can we work this side to side? There's 2 men out on the right-hand side. We've found Castro now. Ball towards Martinez again, and that time the header just over the crossbar. But to be fair, I think the keeper had it covered. Flume in possession for Leicester. Alvarado, ball over the top now to Dupois. Does well, cuts back inside to try and get on the right. Carlos Andre nearly goes through the back of him. Henry on the second attempt wins the ball back. Martinez, back to Warburton, all the way back to Mancini. Wait for the press to come before you release the ball. Striker comes now and he finds Henry in a good little pocket of space in midfield. Tries a reverse pass to Olsen, but it's not quite there. Ball forward for Hoxha. He's got pace and a bit of agility as well. Stand him up, boys, and Castro's just clipped him right on the edge of the area. This one's going to go to VAR, and they've been given a penalty. Saracita will get the chance to try and find an equaliser here for Leicester. Their first real highlight. Wonderful save from Mancini. He has been immense in quite a few games throughout the course of the series, particularly in our Premier Division battles. Good corner in here as well, and he comes out and claims again. It's a phenomenal save from Mancini. Gets down low to his right-hand side, pushes it out for the corner, and then authoritatively comes out and claims the corner when it comes back in. We're going to use a Get Creative shout with about 10 minutes remaining in the half. You can see they've only had 1 shot, but that 1 shot was a penalty save, so I don't really know what to make of that. Are we going to continue giving them opportunities from penalty spots? Because I'd really hope not. 3 minutes for additional time. We're through that now at the end of the first half. So it's 16 shots, 10 on target, 54% possession for the Isle of Man. 2 shots, 1 on target, 46% of the ball for Leicester. But that missed penalty, that will be the story of the first half. I'm going to say I'm pleased with how things are going. Keep it up. I don't want to get down on anybody. Carlos Andre, how are you travelling? Maybe we'll give it another 15 minutes and then have a look at how he's doing. I don't want to increase any risk to injuries. He's also picked up a yellow card that we have to be mindful of. He has got a throw in here, right-hand side, finds Taylor. Cuts inside, gets it on his right foot, square ball to Henry, who goes for a drive, but it's just beyond the near post. Corner to be taken by Harold towards front post. Gasmy was in there, and then Warburton is offside. I thought for a second when that whistle went that potentially it was going to be a penalty our way. We're through the hour mark now, so let's make that additional change. We're not going to risk Carlos Andre any further. Connor Medjugorje can come on at left back. Please don't give away any penalties, Connor. Please, let's not throw away this lead. And we're also going to use Old Faithful or Get Creative shout after the hour mark. Nobody's responded particularly positive. It's rare that one doesn't do the trick. We usually get a lot of focus out of players or a lot of motivation, but this time hasn't quite worked out. Saracita's made his way to the bench for Leicester. They've brought on some new players out wide as well. Zaki, another ex-England international, comes on, and we're into the last 10 minutes. So let's make our last sub. They're saying that Castro hasn't had a great game. He did give away that penalty. Let's bring on Frank Richard on the right-hand side, see if he can't wrap his foot around a cross or two and get us a goal to seal it. We're also going to use a demand more shout. Zaki with the corner here, Medjugorje with the header away. Alvarado will get the chance to put it back in for Leicester. Goes out wide right to Zaki again. Back to Alvarado, gets a ball into Alan Carr. I think he might have just been offside. It is brought back for the offside decision, but Mancini didn't know and he made a very good save. Deep free kick for Leicester in the 89th minute. Alan Carr with the ball over the top, and he's gotten goal side as well, and he's found the finish. For fuck's sake. Okay, alright, so they've had a missed penalty. We haven't created a lot, it must be said. So I don't know if maybe the signs have been there and I just haven't been paying attention to them. It's a good touch around the defender that comes across, but then they haven't done that much. All right, we're going to hit pause. We're going to go to positive. And we're going to use our last roll of the dice to get creative shout with 5 additional minutes to be added on at the end of the half. I guess the only thing that we can maybe look at is that City look to be drawing their game as well. And with through 95 minutes, in the end, 22 shots, 13 on target, 53% possession. We didn't have that many highlights though, so maybe it's more strikes from distance and not clear-cut chances. An 89th minute equaliser because, of course, it was 5 shots, 3 on target, 47% of the ball for Leicester. I'm going to say you weren't good enough today. That's a match we should have been winning. I think Man City have drawn with Liverpool. They have, thankfully, a 0-0 draw, which lets us off the hook a little bit, but we can't be affording to drop points against teams like Leicester. And we've got a very similar test next weekend against West Ham. They're actually up in 10th, so they're doing a little bit better this season. Furkan Yilmaz is injured. He's out 3 to 4 weeks. That's not great. Carlos Andre's out, but only 1 to 2 days, so that's not too bad. Arnaud Henry gets the Man of the Match award. We'll give him a bit of praise. And apparently Tottenham are there scouting him again. He's been scouted by every club, potentially in world football at this point, and still remains an FC Isle of Man player, so I don't think he'll be going anywhere. We should be able to welcome back Esteban for the next game as well, which will help us quite a bit. The hope is that Lucas Gabriel and Carlos Andre get over their knocks in the course of this week. But magic of editing, we're going to jump forward to the game against West Ham now. All right, just like that, we are forward a week, and thankfully we are back to, I think, a fully fit lineup, or a full strength lineup as well, which is very helpful for the run home, barring any disasters or anything like that. It does mean that Esteban comes back in at central defence for Jamie Ward, and Lucas Gabriel comes back in for the start, and Carlos Andre's gotten over his knock, so he's in good shape as well. Looking over at the West Ham side, you'll see there are a few familiar faces here. There's a couple more in their squad as well, but it doesn't look like they've been named in the matchday lineups. The first one, Akeem Miller, player that we had right when we first came up into the Premier Division itself. We bought him from Arsenal for £4 million when he was about 16 years of age. We had to wait a little while for him to come across as well. He went out on loan a few times to Crawley. Sunderland didn't really set the world on fire. He came through actually at a similar time to Carlos Andre. Carlos Andre was the better player. He eventually went on a free to West Ham. We didn't actually make any money. He wouldn't sign a new contract after a while because we weren't playing him. And he's gone on to have an okay career. He's gone up and down between the Championship and Premier Division with them a couple of different times. Consistently gets 6.7, 6.8. He wouldn't really have been what we needed him to be in terms of, qualifying for the Champions League or anything like that. He's just solid. He's not super spectacular. But 3-star current and potential ability. He's an English player. Not bad. Not bad at all. The other one, and he has been a bit more heroic for us throughout the years, is Lua Barbosa making his return to Premier Division football. He was fantastic for us for a good few seasons. We bought him, I think, our second season in the Premier Division, maybe our first season. At the time, he was a transfer record. £13 million was his release clause. We had him for 6 seasons. He was absolutely magnificent throughout that period. Just fulfilling a variety of different roles, could play at the number 10 position, could play as the box-to-box midfielder. His best season was actually his second last one for the club, 7.13 over 34 games and 10 goals in the Premier Division. Blackburn eventually paid £30 million for him. He then went to Schalke a couple of seasons ago, £31 million. He makes the return last season to West Ham for £16 million. A very good player and a proper hero for FC Isle of Man during the early part of our Premier Division journey. So good to see him coming back to the stadium. Hopefully he doesn't have too good a game. They've also got some other decent players. Marcio Antonio is their highest average rated player and their highest assist maker and their highest scorer this season, so he's having quite the year. Only 2.5-star current and potential ability though, that's a little bit interesting. But he has some very good physical attributes. I'm sure he'll do damage if we give him too much time or space. But again, West Ham, a side we should be beating. Passionately we are going to say, or assertively we're going to say, if we play our game, we'll win. That hasn't quite worked the way I want it to. I'll just tell the defence that I've got faith in them. And thankfully that's given a boost to a few players as well. First highlight of the match, inside the opening 90 seconds, Gazmi in possession from the goal kick. Esteban looks to drive forward now, plays it across to Henry in midfield. Some space over on the other side for Taylor if we can work this correctly. We've gone out to Lucas Gabriel instead. Now Henry, good switch out towards Harold, back post, gets the strike away, but Comper in the West Ham goal, very decent save to force that one over the crossbar for the corner. Lucas Gabriel takes, it's going to get cleared away as far as Brad Taylor. Wide left area, has a man to beat, but Junior does quite well to keep the ball, and then Antonio wins it back as the highlight comes to an end. But good early pressure that we're putting on. We are also going to keep an eye on the Manchester City game. They are at home to Tottenham in probably their last remaining top 5 clash, or top 6 clash, I guess. Or Tottenham have actually moved up into the top 4 spots ahead of Manchester United, so they're still fighting for European qualification. Maybe they can do us a favour and get a point or two, or 3. That would be even better. Through 30 minutes here, we're going to use Demand More Shout. Haven't seen much in the way of highlights for either side. Corner here, though, to Esteban near post. And again, it's a header. It's a wonderful ball in from Lucas Gabriel. I'm a bit cautious about Gabriel taking corners, though, at the minute. It does leave us 1v1 at the back if the ball breaks down. But it's a great ball in, and Esteban near post just powers that header home. The Spanish John Cena then peels off towards the corner flag, doing whatever that symbol was with his arms. Good stuff, though. And we get a goal just before half-time, which helps us quite a bit. And there is another highlight here. 38 minutes played, Gasmi to Gabriel. Henri looks for a ball in behind to Olsen, who's been quiet over the last few games, but he's found an excellent finish then. That is a phenomenal ball from Arnaud Henri. Takes Max Olsen to 29 goals this season, really in his first full season of senior football. And the Wonder Kid has pulled out a phenomenal finish as well to slide that one beyond the keeper. That whip ball from Henri is phenomenally weighted. Olsen gets it on his favoured left foot, slides it into the far right-hand corner. Keeping do absolutely nothing about it, and it's a 2-0 advantage just like that. Very quick little succession of highlights, and we take a lead. Looks like City have also taken a lead in their match against Tottenham, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Ball forward. Harold flicks it across to Carlos Andre. Brought down in midfield for Taylor. Burst past one in the box. Can he try and get a cross in? Skips past it in a challenge of Barbosa. Looks to cut it back to Carlos Andre. Henri exchanges passes with him again. Can switch it out to the other side. Looks towards Castro. Flicked on for Olsen. Good tackle there from Boyce in the West Ham defence. Cleared, but only as far as Carlos Andre. Ball over the top here for Lucas Gabriel on the other side. Can he find the cutback? Back post ball was there for Harold, and he clips the header just into the side netting. But good little passage of play. A lot of men getting forward, working it well around the box. And as half-time's called, we've had 16 shots, 9 on target, 61% possession. No shots at all for West Ham and 39% of the ball. Akeem Miller's booking, really their only highlight of note. Calmly, I'm going to say, very pleased with your performance. Keep it going, lads. No need to overcomplicate anything. And we're just going to try and carry on as best we can. You can see City are 1-0 up against Tottenham. Hopefully Tottenham can come out and try and find an equalising goal in the second half. We do stay above them by a single point. But if we get some sort of points margin going into the last game, particularly the game against Chelsea, I think that will help us quite a bit. We're going to hit pause. Going to make some subs. You can see Harold's apparently not had a good game. We'll bring on Mateo. They're saying Castro's not played particularly well either. Both wingers are struggling today. We'll bring on Frank Richard, who is one of the 3 or 4 players we've got at the moment who aren't happy with their playing time. But it must be said, I don't think he's played particularly well in quite a while. And there is also the potential that we're struggling with more players being unhappy this year because we didn't make it that far in the Carabao Cup where they usually play and the FA Cup early rounds. Carlos Andre out to Martinez. Can he get the ball back across? Olsen's in there. Brings it down well. And he's been brought down. They've called a foul. They're going to go have a look at VAR. I think this is going to be a penalty. And it's going to be Martinez with the chance to add to his tally for the year. Sends the keeper the wrong way. Makes it 3-0. Peels off towards the corner flag. His 22nd of the season. Fantastic episode for him. Goals in both games. And we look pretty comfortable at 3-0 heading into the last 20 minutes or so. Good penalty. Sends the keeper the wrong way. It's really all you can ask from the big man. Jumping forward into the last 10 minutes now. We're going to hit pause. We're going to use our last sub. Mancini, they're saying, is not playing particularly well. I'm going to leave him on. I don't really like subbing the keepers. Gabriel isn't playing horrifically, but his condition's down a little bit. Carlos Andre, we're also probably going to give him a spell. Let's bring on Connor Medjadou and see what he can do. Only 10 minutes remaining. It's just really to try and keep fitness up as much as possible. I've also used a Demand More Shout. Miller's got a corner here, and Marcio Antonio has nodded one home for West Ham. Their first real shot of the match just happens to be a goal from a set piece. Did it have anything to do with the sub that we made? It's not a bad ball from Miller, but no one really anywhere near Antonio or challenging for the ball. It even hits Mancini on the way through. Not great from the side, just to slip that little bit of goal difference away. Doesn't look like Tottenham are going to catch up as we enter injury time. We're through the 4 minutes, and as the full-time whistle goes, a 3-1 victory on the day. 26 shots, 16 on target, 59% possession for the Isle of Man. 2 shots, 1 on target, 41% of the ball for West Ham. Passionately, we are going to say very pleased with the result and your performance, and everybody has responded very well. And we end the episode, I think, in pretty much the exact same scenario as what we started. If we had gotten that win against Leicester and not conceded that 89th minute equaliser, we would be points clear, and that would be much easier heading into the last day of the season. But we remain 1 point above Man City as things currently stand. Arnaud Henri again gets the Man of the Match award, his second in a row. We're going to say he was fantastic for us, because he was. Lucas Gabriel being watched by Sassuolo, he's not going anywhere. Arnaud Henri being watched again by Tottenham. Maybe Tottenham should watch their own games. Maybe they'd win against sides like Man City. Maybe they'd be in the Champions League spots if they were watching more of their own matches. But it does leave us currently above goal difference by 8 to Manchester City, 1 single point above them in the division. It sets up a bumper end of the week fixture. We've got Chelsea and Bournemouth to come, both away from home. Any slips in either of those games, and we will potentially drop off the top of the Premier Division, which would be cruel given how long we've actually sat up in top spot. But, you know, that's fine. That's football. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to see how we get on. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is the part that I appreciate the most. If you want to support the channel, support the series that little bit more as we get towards kind of the end and the conclusion of our journey with FC Isle of Man, you can drop a like on this video. You can also subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date on all of our future videos as they continue to release right up until Football Manager 21 comes out. We are also giving away copies of Football Manager 2021. Go and check out the video on the channel. The beta's been guessed by 2 different people. We're going to give away 2 copies for that, but the competition for the main save is still wide open. Go and check that one out as quickly as you can. As always though, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the mixer.